Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Bill Chase and the Movies. And I want to thank all you who tuned in last week for the Star Trek special, and I'd like to give another special thanks to Scott Mason for joining me, and I was just very pleased with how the show turned out. And now we're back to more reviews this week, and I have count them, five new films to review. And first off, we're going to start with a spring blockbuster known as Angels and Demons, in an installment of what I like to call the Dan Brown series. And of course, you all know Dan Brown as the man behind the madness that was indeed the Da Vinci Code. And this film brings back the character of Professor Robert Langdon and brings back Tom Hanks in that role. Now, Angels and Demons, which is actually basically technically before the Da Vinci Code, but from the best of my recollection with this film, it's actually set after those events. Early in the film, we find out a rare sealed vial of antimatter had been stolen, and that the group taking credit for it is known as the Illuminati, a secret group who had hated the Catholic Church for generations due to the persecution they set against well-known and favored scientists. Now, a popular pope who was intent on bringing big things to the Catholic Church has just died, and the men who were up for being picked as his successor have all been kidnapped, and the antimatter is being used against them as a weapon. So Langdon is, of course, brought in to investigate. To me, this whole plotline just came off as a way for Langdon to solve the mystery, almost as if the bad guys just set it all up so he could foil them. I'd like to think that maybe they're just trying to get even with him, trying to sucker him in for bringing down the secret society known as Opus Dei that he did in the Da Vinci Code. That would have made it at least somewhat intriguing. See, it seems as though Langdon figures this stuff out a little too easily, even for someone as smart as his character is. Is he just that good, or is the movie just being lazy? Anyway, joining him in Audrey Tauto's place in this film is a young lady by the name of Elet Zerur. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She plays Vittoria, whose father was murdered in the robbery of the antimatter, and basically she's just there to be eye candy on Tom Hanks's arm and say your typical beautiful girl in, beautiful girl mystery movie cliches, and she is beautiful. Now, despite the somewhat unreasonability of this film, I did find myself intrigued by the mystery itself, and it didn't have many dragging spots like the Da Vinci Code did, and my eyes were completely glued to the screen during many scenes. I also love the way the characters were written in this film, who are within the Vatican here, including Carmilangelo, the adopted son of the slain pontiff, played very well by Eva McGregor here, and also Stellan Skarsgård, most recently seen as Bootstrap Bill Turner in the Pirates of the Caribbean films, plays the head of the Pope's security, and joining him who is also joining on the investigation. And also, there's Cardinal Strauss, played by former Oscar nominee Armin Mueller-Stahl, and they all do very well here with their roles and really bring what could have been a fledgling story just to life, and that's what really kept this film going for me personally, and that's why I felt it was at least somewhat better than the Da Vinci Code. And I like how they really helped tell a story of the happenings behind the walls of the Vatican. To me, that was one of the most intriguing things of the film. Hanks is in fine form as usual, as the role of Robert Langdon really suits him very well, as he does everything he possibly can with it. I said on this show before that in addition to being perhaps the best actor of his time, he may also very well be the smartest actor of his time, because he chooses roles that make an impact on Hollywood one way or another, be it box office or critical acclaim, and in many cases, both. This, of course, is directed by Ron Howard, who's fresh off the brilliant film Frost Nixon, where Howard's directing technique allowed the actors and characters in this film build the tension to make it a very different, thought-provoking, a very attention-provoking, I guess would be the proper word, film. While this film is nowhere on the level of Frost Nixon in terms of cinematic greatness, the technique is still ever present in this film, and it's one of the many things that have made Howard one of the best directors of his time. Now, his range of film is very much different in terms of genre. He's never made an outright terrible film, but he's made a couple lackluster ones, so I'm somewhat on the fence here, much like I was for the Da Vinci Code, and I ended up giving that film 2.5 stars and not recommending it. However, the supporting crew is nothing short of fantastic, and Hanks is also giving it his all, and I was intrigued throughout the entire movie. So I'm going to recommend Angels and Demons and give it 3 stars out of 5.